it is seemed that the new game Stray is a catastrophe. Chat, it's a catastrophe. Do you know why? Because you have an upstarting company which made something successful and it's making a lot of money, and none of that money is being redistributed towards the political ideologues. I mean, they are starving right now, chat. They are starving at the corners of the internet, looking at monetary transactions that they are not a part of. So they want something to eat, chat. The political ideologues, the censor, they need food on the table. They covet your wealth, they covet your money. So what do? They stay late into the night, slaving over a hot laptop in order to write think pieces that articulate problems they created that only they have the solution. So in other words, they're calling the company racist and problematic, and the only solution is to put them or their friends in the company in a position of power so they can write a couple of lines and say, hey, can you remove the straw hats from the game? That's way problematic. And now give me cash. Feed me, company. Feed me. Give me your wealth. And then they can also decide which of the game developers are problematic. It's like, fire that guy. We don't like him. Fire him. Hire my friend instead. Okay? So this is how the grift works. And I can call it a grift because when you see an Oriental game, as they call it, like for example, FormSoft making a game that is appropriates European culture, no one gives a shit. In fact, it's an awesome game. I mean, do you feel offended as a European because FromSoft made a game that takes a lot from medieval culture? Absolutely not. And I have a video coming up on my main channel tomorrow which shows a person going into a American liberal campus where these ideologues lie, the lair that creates these ideologues, and he wears a straw hat. And they get aggressive. I mean, like, you can see their adrenaline rising. Like, the only thing that prevents them from attacking the person wearing the hat is probably due to the fact that we live in a society of law and there would be repercussions. And then the same person goes in Chinatown and speaks with the elderly. He speaks with the people there. All of them say, oh no, that's really cool. I mean, you did the costume properly. Like, that's really nice. You appreciate the culture. Because all of this thing, right? Like, you are trained. They are trying to train you like Pavlov's dog to react to stimuli. Like, they are telling you that this is offensive, but they don't prove that it's offensive. Like, you do not just have a survey or a poll or any, people voting for, who wrote this thing? Sisi, right? Like, you don't have the Asian people voting for Sisi Zhang to represent them in matters of culture and heritage. That doesn't happen. No, like, Sisi Zhang happens to work at a corporation like Kotaku, and because of that, she has a platform and she can pretend to speak on behalf of Asian people and falsely tell you that they're offended. When in reality, they're probably enjoying the game, and Sisi Zhang is very angry. She's very angry Kotaku journalist because she's not getting any of that wealth. Like, none of those financial transactions are coming her way. She would love to be placed, as I mentioned before, in a position of authority at the company. And she would love if some of the percentage from the sales would go into her and her friend's pocket. Like, nothing more would satisfy her. So this article is a desperate attempt to convince the company that there is a problem. And I'm pretty sure, like, she knows some consultant, she would know some. And all you have to do, if you're a developer, is just contact her. And she'll be like, yes, of course, I know exactly the company you need to contact. They will fix your racismus in exchange for cash. So look at this. If you felt uncomfortable about the rice paddy, notice how there's no poll or survey to see how many people actually felt uncomfortable by the rice paddies. Like, it's assumed that you feel. And it also doesn't ask, like, okay, but are you Asian? Because if you're white and you feel uncomfortable, who the fuck cares, right? Because like, this is supposed to be a thing that makes Asian people uncomfortable. And it's also the fact that this whole concept is so rooted in American idiocy. Like, You need to be so fucking dumb in order to believe this ideology. You need to go to a university where they can make you into a cretin that's drooling from the mouth to believe into this ideology. So like, just because you're born an Asian, it means you get to speak on behalf of Asian people. Like, how the fuck does that shit work? I mean, I'm a man. I don't speak on behalf of all the men. I don't speak on behalf of Joe Biden. I don't speak on behalf of the CEO from Kotaku. Like, just because I have a cock doesn't mean that there's a Bluetooth installed in it and I get to communicate and share empathy and feelings with other men from around the world. Like, what is this nonsense? Fascistic way of thinking. Patui. So she goes out and she complains about the straw hats. You know, like, it's something like so bizarre. I've never even noticed the straw hats, but I guess like the reason you had them is because number one, the game takes place in Hong Kong. But secondly, the straw hats, as a European playing the game, because it is subjective, like your point of reference, right? So if you're a European and you're playing the game, the straw hats make it seem like the city is somewhere either further away from my location, or it's something in the future. Because in the future, fashion can evolve. Like the way we dress now isn't the way people dressed in medieval times. So it goes well with the story of the game that you're in an unfamiliar environment, and it encourages exploration. So she goes like, but the game's rampant appropriation of Asian history and cultures needs to be supported with care by design implementation. And what if they're not? You gonna cry, journalist? You gonna go, weh, if they're not? You're gonna go, weh, weh. No one gives a shit. They're making money. They're making money hand over fist. I mean, given how many sales this game had, given how many streamers they had, they are clearly doing what needs to be done, which is to make money so that they can put food on the table of their developers. Those developers slaved hard over a hot computer and deserve to have higher wages. If they start hiring ideologues, if they start hiring people like you, then the developers have less to eat, all right? I don't want that to happen. I want my developers to be fat so that they can gorge themselves with food and feed their families with the money from their labor, and then they get to stay at the computer and make a sequel. That's what I want. I mean, this is a game where you play a cat. It goes nyan and shit. Who the fuck cares about the straw hats? You know what? At this point, I start to care because you care. I would pay more money for DLC that adds more Orientalism, not less. So if you have more Orientalism into the game, I would buy that DLC. You know, $10 kimono. I don't fucking care how much it costs, but I know that Kotaku journalists would be seething, and this would bring me catharsis. Like, this would bring happiness into my heart. Knowing that there is a Kotaku journalist out there really angry because they're not getting money from this, and there is a successful game that they're not involved with, would not make me so glad. Like, it is difficult to put in words just how much entertainment and enjoyment I would get. So yes, I would like part open the butt cheeks of my troll wallet, and the money would just flow to this company. And I'm willing to bet a lot of other people think like me, because I'm using the word we. See, I can do the corpus speak as well, but we are so tired of moral busybodies that produce nothing to the industry, but they want cash in return, and they're taking the cash away, they're diverting the cash away from the actual hardworking people, the working class, which are the game developers. By the way, HR don't consider themselves to be working class. They consider themselves to be middle management. You know, I as a left-leaning troll, I support the working class full-heartedly. Actual leftism, okay? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.